Okay, so the initial training that we go through for distributors is on Dare to be Diamond. If you haven't recently looked at that, go look at it because I always change up little like bits. Recently, I added for them to do a skinny brew. Whoa, Jenna. Whoa. Recently I added for them to do a skinny brew post on their Facebook, and that's before they get to their dirt list. So I have a lot of people who are, interested in ordering the skinny brew before these people even do a host a post, before they even do their dirt list. So that's been helpful. So if you haven't seen that part of the new distributor training, make sure that you go add the new one, because I'm just editing the current post. I'm not posting it brand new every single time. So there's only one and it's the most updated. I've deleted all the other ones. Okay, so go use that. So what we decided is, I was like, what if after we come up with some Excel sheet and we have different things on it that we need to cover before they're like free to go on their own, kind of, right? So we came up with a couple of things. Katie helped me make this list. I just wanted to give her a shout out, and Michael, her husband, is actually the one that's making the Excel sheet. So it's going to look like this. Okay, but on Excel, obviously, or it's a Google Doc, so same thing. So it's gonna look like this. Okay, so what it is it's gonna have this column all the way over here, and that's where you're gonna put your distributor's name as they sign up. And then across the top, it's got all the different things that they need to learn, and that's what you're gonna base your conversations with them each morning off of. And you're gonna go through and make sure they each have the things that they need. Now, greens, this is not going to be in order, so there's no particular order that it needs to be in. We kind of decided, Katie was like, should we have them in order, should we not have them in order? And I kind of decided not to, because I know for me, my flow might not be the same as your flow. I might introduce my distributors way later than you would, and I don't want to just keep you to this flow and make it so confined into that. You have freedom within this. These are just things that you need to cover. So I'm going to list the things that we talked about. You don't have to write this down. You can if you want to, but we're going to make the Excel sheet, and it's going to be available at some point this week. I'm assuming that's kind of my goal. So if we can get this done, we're going to have it on the team page. I'm hoping to print one out myself, and then that way we can have everybody kind of streamline their training. And I'm not saying if you have a distributor training that's killing it, use that as your initial training, but I know mine works really well for me, at least, and the people who use it seem to like it. So this is what I'm adding to that. Okay, so you see the tabs on the top. These are the tasks that we came up with. So the first one is initial training. So that's once you've gone through everything in that training. Okay, so that's going to take you a little bit. You're not going to mark one of these off every day. You're just going to say, okay, I've taught them, I've had them do the skinny brew post, they logged into their eSuite, they, I told them what a loyal customer is, we went through host to post, they've got it. Okay, X, mark, that's done. That part's built, or you can color it in. And then the next thing, again, this is in no particular order, but these are things that need to get done, is FaceTime. That needs to happen, and that really should be the very next thing, and that's where it is on the Excel sheet. So I would say that one needs to be either in the middle of training or at the very end, because you need to get them in 48 to 72 hours after you sign them up. It needs to have a FaceTime. Then intro to co-sponsor, which means that you're introducing them to whoever you place them with. Obviously, if you're keeping them on your top line, which I don't think any of us really are at this point, maybe some of you are, and that's okay. If that doesn't apply to you, just go ahead and exit out. The next one is Facebook settings. And I'm going to go through some of these and tell you where to find resources to teach them this. Okay, Facebook settings. If you go in and search on Dare to be Diamond, and if you search, shoot, my mouse died, but if you search FB settings, maybe it'll work. There we go. Then you'll be able to find the video that I did on how to change their Facebook settings so that they don't have their host to post blowing up their news feed, and so that they don't show their friends list. You're going to want them to hide both of those things, and that's important. But a lot of times I forget to share that with my new distributors because it's just one other thing that I'm like trying to think of off the top of my head, and I forget a lot of the time. And so it's just a little rough over there on their Facebook. The next one is branding yourself, and that one's going to be, that encompasses talking about, you know, like this stuff that Rachel talks about on our content planning Zoom, where you're talking about who are you. Let's make sure you're posting about stuff that's not anything to do with this business. What things do you love? Let's make sure we're talking about that stuff. You have a baby, make sure you talk about that. You're in college, make sure that you're, you know, talking about the struggles of a college student so that other people can relate to you. And this is where you're going to have them, and I'm just going to assume that they need this, change their profile picture and their cover photo. They're going to need an update on those two things, okay? So that's where you're going to have them do that. The next one is follow-up system. You are free to teach them your follow-up system. If you want them to just do a follow-up system, you don't have one that really works. You should have one that really works. If you don't, you're missing a lot of people. You can literally search follow up method, and I see stuff coming in the chat, but I can't look or I'm gonna get distracted. I'll look in a second. Follow-up method, if you go search that in Dare to Be Diamond, tag them in that. That's what I'll be doing, and I'll say, hey, go do this and let me know when you watch it. And then they'll come to me and I'll get to X that off once they've told me they're done. Then the next one is LC retention. For that one, Amber and Brooke did an incredible job with our new customer retention program with the gold status, the platinum status. I had them kind of take that over. I was like, y'all are way more green than me. I have no idea what's going on. Please just make this. They fixed it all up. They took our scripts, totally revamped them. Amber posted it in the team page. So if you just still search retention, the old one is gone. I deleted it completely. The new one is there with the gold and platinum status. I just tag mine in that. There is also, okay, don't miss this part. There's also a video that I did of a screen recording, I think in November, of how I put them in my calendar. You're going to want to tag them in both. When you search retention, they're both there. Okay, so in retention, that is the video and the post with the scripts. Those are both important. So that's what I'll be doing. The next one is growing your network. So here's what I did to teach my team how to grow their network, my new distributors. So I just did one video back in the summer. I think it was in June or July. I made a video and I said, hey, okay, so here's what you're going to do on Facebook. Here's what I want you to find. And y'all all know how to grow your network, right? So you're just going to make a video to explain how to do it on Instagram and Facebook. My video is, I think let me tell you how long it is. It matters because it's the perfect link to be able to send it on Instagram, on Facebook and on text message, as long as they have an iPhone. You want to be able to just send it in one quick little message, and mine is not long at all, and I save it in my It Works album. So anytime somebody's like, well, I don't really know how to grow my network, boom, send in this video, done. And it's a video of me talking, but it's not a Zoom. It's not a recording. It's not another thing on Dare to Be Diamond. It's just this. It's 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So this is my album with all my before and after. So this is one that I sent them. Super easy. Some of y'all may have gotten that depending on when you signed up. Okay. The next one is introducing them to the 6 list or the KPI list. At that point, they'll know all of that stuff. You're just going to teach them that, hey, this is a system, and all this stuff I taught you matters because this is what we do every day. And you'll teach them whichever one that you follow. That's what you can teach your team to do. And then personal development. What I usually have them start with is, hey, go search motivation on YouTube. They do that for a couple days. I ask how that's going. Hey, go watch The Secret. I send them a link to it. Then I have them do Secrets of the Millionaire Mind or The Compound Effect or something like that that's actually like an Audible book. But I've learned to kind of like ease them into that so that they can do those 10 to 15 minute spurts, because sometimes a book is overwhelming for people to start with and they feel like really defeated to start with because they're like, it's taking me forever to get through this book. So that's what I'm doing. And so I'll read through that list one more time because I know it sounded like a lot because I was explaining them all. But you're literally just going to go through your initial training, your FaceTime, introduce to co-sponsors, Facebook settings, brand yourself, follow-up system, loyal customer retention, grow your network, 6 list or KPI list, and personal development. Super easy. And some of that stuff can be done like multiple of them a day. So it's not like one every single day, like it needs to take forever. You can get a lot of that done at once. But from there, Once they know all that, your conversation should flow where you're either just getting screenshots from them, you're just sending them stuff to post, you're making sure that they're getting on Zooms, you're just FaceTiming them, connecting with them on a friend level, making sure they have their charts, that type of thing. Because we didn't put charts on here because that kind of flows from that too. So does anyone have any questions? I'm gonna look in the chat really quick, but okay, hang on, Carly, 1 second. I'm gonna look in the chat and see what somebody said. How do you talk to a DT when they say I'm fine with my friends list showing? I've never had anyone say that, but it's always important anytime you teach them anything to explain the why. Anytime that you say anything, it's not ever just like, okay, let's make sure that your friends list is hidden. It's always, okay, let's make sure your friends list is hidden because we don't want anyone else that comes into the business or anyone else that adds you to see your Facebook friends list. We don't want anyone else to go in there and add random people from your Facebook friends list. So it's best that it stays hidden. And that's what all of us top leaders do. When you say that, it should be enough.
What if it's not?
Then they're not teachable at that point. And so I spend my time with people who do listen to what I have to say and who are teachable. And I don't know if it's the people that I sign up because of the way that I talk to them whenever I'm talking to them about the business, but I tell them straight up like that they're going to have to be teachable, that they have to want this, they have to put in the work. So I don't really get people who say that. I've literally never had that. So I think it's just, that's an anomaly situation. Literally want this today. Yeah, I know, I do too. I was like, I need this because I need to go back and make sure everybody did this. Okay, so you don't just do one per day.
You answered it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, yes, I can send you the recording. And okay, Carly.
Yeah, how long, like, what's a rough estimate time-wise? Like, how long do you think this should take, all this stuff?
100% depends on the distributor. Because it's going to depend on how quickly they get their training done. I've had people finish their training in a day, Jordan Rhodes. After she was like ready to come back, she was like, boom, bang, done. I was like, wait, what? I just got whiplash. Are we done? Okay, this is fine. No big deal. So, but then I have some people who I'm like dragging feet and I'm like, okay, we've been in for 5 months now and your shopping spree expired a long time ago. Did you make your dirt list yet? So like, it really just depends on how fast they move and I go at their pace.
Okay.
But definitely within a month. Like if they want to do this and if at that point they're still not really, I mean, that it shouldn't take that long. So at that point it's like, do you really want it? And I have a conversation about that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so that is what we're working on. So I'm super excited about that. Put a 3 in the chat if you're like, okay, that's going to change the game. I need this. Especially with all these new people we have coming in, both truly and also claiming. We're going to need some sort of a system to kind of stay on track. And I think all of these things are really important because I know they seem like little things. And in the past, I've just been like, well, none of that stuff really matters. Like, I just need them to enroll. But really, these are the things that help people enroll. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the other stuff, which is the nitty gritty of what I want to talk about. So I had really good conversations with a lot of y'all if you signed up for a coaching call. If you didn't, let me know if you need one. I reached out to a couple of y'all who I knew didn't do a coaching call, and a lot of us got a different time scheduled. So if you need one, let me know. Okay, so one thing that we talked about is goal setting because that's awesome, Regina. Also, can I just pause because Regina just said this? I was going to text you today and I just forgot. But I was talking to Sarah today, Sarah Chapman, and we were talking and I was like, do you know that I had a conversation with Regina in the Walgreens? It was so funny because I was in the Walgreens parking lot with Sarah and I was in the Walgreens parking lot when I had this conversation with you. Ask me how I know that. I don't know, but I remember where I was. Regina, was like a year ago. And you were like, I can sign customers, but I just can't sign distributors. And I said, it's a mindset thing. And from that day on, I swear you've done like a 180 and I'm so proud of you. And I was looking and I was like, do you know that Regina didn't think she could sign you up a year ago because she didn't and she made a switch and you're going to do the same thing. So I was just like bragging on you and I'm so proud of you. And then there's proof. So that just reminded me of what I wanted to say. So you're killing it. Okay. So, Okay, let me just make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Okay, so we were talking about goal setting. So I had a lot of you say stuff like, I need to be more consistent. And that was a huge, like, thing that so many of you talked about was that, I need to be more consistent with this business in general, whatever that might look like. Put a 4 in the chat if you think you could use some consistency in your life, and don't feel like you have to put a 4. I wouldn't put a 4. I'm consistent AF, and I don't have a problem telling you that. Macy's like, yeah, nope, I'm consistent, got this. Okay, but it's fine if you're not. You're going to get there, and we're going to help you. But here's some things that I talk to the people on there about, because some of y'all are that way. I know Emily's word of the year is consistency, so we talked about that too, so I'm super excited for her. But there's so many of y'all who were probably not consistent who just didn't say anything about it, and that's okay. So I want to talk about that. We have to have short-term goals and long-term goals in this business. So that is going to be super important to help you stay motivated, not just now, but also long-term. Okay. So either whenever I was talking to you and we were talking about like, goal setting and what are your goals? Why do you want to hit this promotion? Y'all said diamond, you said emerald, you said I want to go double, I want to go triple. I said, why do you want to do that? What's that going to do for you? And you told me why. And a lot of you had these short-term goals and you were like, I really want to do this. I really want to pay off this credit card, or I really want to do this thing. But some of you were like, I really want to be a stay-at-home mom, and you're not dating anyone yet. And I'm like, that's a long-term goal. And that's fine that you want to be a stay-at-home mom. But when you don't even have a boyfriend yet, and you're already jumping to a stay-at-home mom, no wonder you're not committed to this today. Does that make sense what I'm saying? You're not going to be committed to something that's not close. Like, you're going to think to yourself, I can just do that later. And you're going to keep pushing it off because it doesn't mean anything to you right now. That's not real. That's not concrete enough for you to run today. But some of you run in short spurts, and you accomplish a goal and then fall off, and you accomplish a goal and then fall off, and then you do something and then you fall off. That's either because your short-term goal is just not strong enough. It's either just a rank and you hit it and you're good to go, or it's because it doesn't push you. You hit that rank, you hit that goal or that rank or whatever, that paycheck, and then you don't have another goal lined up that's another short-term goal, right? Like, you never want to tie. We always say you tie, you die, right? You're not thinking about another thing before you hit that thing. You wait till you hit that goal, and then you're like, take 3 months off, start dreaming again. Then you pick it back up, and then you hit that same goal again, and then you fall off. But if you had a long-term goal and a short-term goal, you'd hit that goal and know that there'd be another goal lining you up to hit this long-term goal in the future. Does that make sense? Put a 1 in the chat if you're like, I need a long-term goal, or I need a shorter-term goal. My goals are too far in the future, or my goals are only short-term and I have no idea what I want 5 years from now. Okay, most of us are one or the other. I'm going to be honest, my goals are more short-term than the long-term, because I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, and that's my issue, that I need to start dreaming. And what I usually do, because some of you are like, well, how do I come up with the goal? Sit down and journal. Have no distractions, no TV, no music, no people around, just you, just a journal, and start writing the stuff that you want. Just start writing the stuff you want. Ask yourself questions. If I could do anything today, what would I do? My ideal morning, what does it look like? Who would I be with on my ideal day? Where would I be? Would I live in the same house that I live in? Would I live in the same state that I live in? Would I live with the same people that I live with? Ask yourself these questions and start getting your brain to think about, man, okay, wow, what could I have? And you're not allowed to erase. Okay, you're write it in pen, write it in Sharpie. You cannot erase, you can't scribble out. You just get to write everything, and there's no hesitation. Because if you think to yourself like, that's too big of a goal, we'll just like shrink it back, that's not dreaming. That's being a realist, and that's not what I'm asking you to do. From that journal, you're going to be able to create those goals, both long-term and short-term. Once you've done that on your own, I would say then bring it to your spouse or your partner or whoever you're with, and let them say, okay, well, what do you see us doing in the next little bit? Because if you do it immediately with them and they don't have the same brain cell for this business that you do, chances are they're going to squash that goal as soon as you say it. So I want you to write them down first. Then I want you to talk to them about it. So make sure that you have the short-term goals, because that creates consistency today. It makes you want to wake up today and fight. And if that short-term goal doesn't really make you feel anything, then that's a problem. And I think it was Kelsey, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said, people always say, like, your why should make you cry. And she's like, I don't cry, but I get fired up. I get excited about it. Like, I know what I want. And that's kind of like me. Like, I don't cry. I'm not that emotional. I don't, like, do those things whenever I think about my why, but I get fired up and I get hype ready to go. And so that's more of the feeling that I get whenever I have my short-term goals and my long-term goals. So I think that both are important. I'll look at the chat in a second, but I want to keep going so we don't run out of time. Okay, so one other thing, talking kind of about short-term goals or just consistency in general, I was talking to someone and they said, you know, I said, why do you feel like you're inconsistent? Why do you feel like, because this particular person, and we had this conversation, so it's not a bad thing and it's not like tearing them down whatsoever, but it's just like they are in and then they're out, and then they're in and then they're out, and they're kind of like teetering back and forth, like, is this for me? Is this not for me? Is this for me? And I know all of us have been there. I've thought about quitting twice in this business, like seriously thought about quitting. So I know what that's like. But I want to talk to you about what we had a conversation about, because it was literally an eye-opener for me as we were talking about it. And they said, I sometimes feel motivated and sometimes I don't. So I just need to live in that motivation. And I said, you don't need to live in your motivation. You need to live in your discipline. Because guess what, guys? People who are successful are not always motivated. And if you've never heard it before, I'm saying it right now, I don't always feel motivated. Grant Cardone doesn't always feel motivated. Tony Robbins doesn't always feel motivated. Stephanie Dunn doesn't always feel motivated. She's going through like cancer treatments right now. She does not feel motivated. I'm sure there are days where she's exhausted, but she shows up anyways. Why? Because she's disciplined. And so don't live in your motivation. I don't even care about motivation, dude. Motivation is bull crap. I don't give two craps about your motivation. I don't care if you're motivated or if you're not. And I mean that with love and sincerity. I don't care if you're motivated, because guess what? You can be not motivated in that moment and still show up. Because you're disciplined. People who are successful are disciplined. That means that they show up, especially when they don't want to. They commit to something and they follow through. Whenever I set up all these coaching calls on Friday, when I was about to have my Sabbath, I was ready to go. I was like, all right, got all these coaching calls. I'm feeling good. And I took Saturday off because it was my Sabbath. I took a fat Sabbath. I did not look at my phone at all. I was so excited. Come Sunday, I was like, ugh, I have 15 hours of coaching calls tomorrow. Jesus help me. And I literally prayed for the Lord to help me through today, because I knew I was going to be exhausted. I have the exact same day tomorrow. But you know what? I thought about canceling. I didn't want to do it. My throat hurt halfway through. My head hurt halfway through. I was tired. I was exhausted. I've been sitting here for most of the day. But you know what? I showed up anyways because I'm disciplined. And that's not because I have a superhero cape on my back. And that's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm saying I'm not here in this position as a top 25 income earner, millionaire, and it works because I always feel like it. It's not because I feel motivated all the time. And I think so many of you wish that you had what I have, and you're not wishing for the motivation that I have, and you think that you are, but you're wishing for the discipline that I have. And guess what? That's a choice. You get to choose to be disciplined. So you don't have to wish for anything. Just become it. Make the choice. And it's not a one-time choice. It's not a choice that you say, okay, starting January 1st, 2021, I am choosing to be disciplined. Guess what? Tomorrow, you're not going to want to be disciplined, and you have to choose it again. And then on January 6th, you got to choose it again. January 7th, got to choose it again. January 8th, choose it again. Guys, it's a daily choice that you make to be consistent and to be disciplined. Your consistency doesn't flow from your motivation. Your consistency flows from your discipline. Show me someone who works consistently at this business for 6 years, and I'll show you someone who is disciplined, not motivated. I've shown up whenever it sucked. I know so many of y'all have shown up when it wasn't convenient, especially when it wasn't convenient. I'm thinking about people who have had losses, not talking about myself, talking about other people on this Zoom right now who've had losses this last year, and they showed up anyways. I know some of y'all have gone through weddings. Some of y'all have gone through breakups. Some of you have gone through moving. Some of you have gone through family losses. So many of you have gone through, I mean, Kayla's mom this last week, like she was still showing up to Zooms. Guys, like that is discipline. So be disciplined. And I know it sounds so easy, but dude, it is. It's a choice. It's not a gift. It's not something that some of us are born with and others aren't. That's the good news, is that you get to choose it if you want. But the hard thing is that you get to choose it if you want, and a lot of you aren't making that choice. So become disciplined. If you feel like that is a huge struggle for you and you're like, dude, I needed that smack in the face right now, listen to the book Atomic Habits. I've already listened to it. Well, listen to it again, because now your heart might be more prepared for the things you're going to hear. You might actually be ready to receive it this time, because if you've listened to that book and you still aren't being consistent, you probably weren't ready for it in the moment. And that's okay, because I've had times where I've listened to books and didn't really get much from it, and listened to it again or watched a movie and I was like, yeah, this movie sucks, right? I used to watch The Office and I thought it was the dumbest thing ever, and now it's like my favorite TV show. You're going to listen to a book and be more well prepared for it the second time around if you're actually ready to start becoming disciplined. It's called Atomic Habits. Schitt's Creek was love at first sight, so can't relate, but I do love that show. Okay. Yes, Emily, she had her kids in the hospital, I don't know how many times, being sick, so much. Yeah, Regina was the one I was talking about. I didn't want to call you out, but you called yourself out in the chat. So she's the one that I was talking about. Like, I mean, guys, there are so many people on here who are disciplined, and you look at the ones who are successful and you're like, I want to be where they are. You have to be willing to do the lifestyle behind the results that you see. You see them enrolling distributors, you see them mass enrolling customers, but are you willing to do the lifestyle behind that got them where they're at? Okay, the next thing. Okay, actually, since this was all about consistency, I'll pause and look through the chat really quick to make sure that we don't have any questions on that. Need to know what a house costs. That's my next goal after my wedding. I just don't know how to do that. Zillow, Realtor.com, all those things. Get on a house app and find houses in the area that you want to buy and start looking at how much they cost. And then start driving through neighborhoods. That's literally what I did before we built our house. I started driving through neighborhoods. Derek was like, we were driving to a friend's house the other night, and he was like, I've never seen that neighborhood. I was like, shoot, I drove through that pretending like it was my neighborhood about 2 years ago. Like, I know exactly where that neighborhood is because I was pretending like I had a house in that neighborhood. And so I found out how much those houses cost, and I've talked with somebody who's a mortgage broker, and I got very serious with him, and I said, here's my financials. I gave him all my stuff. I said, what do I need to do? Where does my credit score need to be at? He told me. I said, done. I said, what do I need to do to get it there? He told me. I said, done. I started doing those things. I said, how much am I going to need for a down payment? He said, you're going to need this. I said, done. Started saving. And then I started doing all these things. I used a different mortgage broker. We didn't buy a house. We built a house. So none of that stuff even looked the same. But I started the process by getting my wheels spinning years before I could ever buy a house. 2017 was when I started spinning my wheels, driving through neighborhoods, talking to this mortgage broker that I ended up not using, doing all these things. 2019, we broke ground on our house. So the dream might be delayed from the point where you're at right now, but it's going to get there a lot faster if you go ahead and start preparing for it now and knowing the things it takes to get the thing that you want now. Okay, reading through those. Exhausted, signed 2 LCs. Yes, love it. What is the book? Okay. They say if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I'm not saying make your business a habit. Obviously, you're in this for a reason because you do want it, but make what you do a habit. It will become second nature, and that motivation will be there because you see the results. That is a complete gym girl reference there, but I felt like I could fit it into this business. Oh, I'm so glad that your mom is home, Kayla. That's good. Yes, Macy, I hated that day. I don't want to talk about it. Carly, that's so exciting. That's huge. You should talk to Rachel Morris because she just bought a camper too. Well, her boyfriend did. But Yeah, super fun. Okay, so huge things, guys. Huge things happening. Huge things are coming for y'all. Okay, next thing. I had a lot of y'all say things like, I really want to find some leaders. Put a 2 in the chat if you're like, I need to find some leaders. Need to find some leaders on my team. Guess what? Leaders aren't found. They're developed. Stop looking for leaders and start looking for potential. So whenever you start looking for potential, you're going to find these people who want what you want, but it's up to you to develop them into a leader. As long as they're willing and they have the potential with the right set of skills, with the right type of mentorship, aka you, they can become a leader. Leaders are not found, they are developed. Take the pressure off of yourself for trying to look for a leader on Instagram. Where do I go to add to my network to find some leaders? It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Raise your hand if you've grown and changed since you've joined this business. Grown as a person. Okay. Did you start off the way that you are? Would you consider yourself a leader? Did you start off that way? No. I didn't start off this way. I was not a leader whenever I joined this business. I had potential. I have natural leadership skills. I have natural leadership potential because of my personality. But that doesn't mean anything if it's not created and cultivated and developed. Because there are people with leadership skills who are serial killers. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean you're going to be a great person. It doesn't mean that you're going to be an incredible leader. It just means that you have potential and you need to develop that. I don't know where that came from. We've been listening to a lot of crime podcasts, so just bear with me. I also do read the Bible, so I don't know. Anyways, leaders are not found, they are developed. That's something that I got from Craig Groeschel. If you feel like you're struggling in your leadership, please listen to the Craig Groeschel Leadership Podcast. Those of you who do listen to it are probably so freaking sick of me hearing me talk about it. But there are so many of you who have still never listened to a single episode as many times as I've talked about it. You've got to work on your leadership if you want to find leaders. How do you expect to develop a leader when you aren't a leader? And all of you are seen as leaders because you're on here, but so many of you are like feel so inadequate or feel so unable to lead other people. So how are you going to find leaders? You don't. You develop them. That means you've got to develop yourself if you want to develop other people. Craig Groeschel Leadership Podcast. I said it once. I'll say it again. It changed my life, changed my business. If you want to be where successful people are, do what they're doing. Okay. Hitting goals is not, like if you set to hit a goal and you miss it, it's not failing. Raise your hand if you set a goal and you missed it. Okay, same. I think that's all of us. I think every single one of us have set a goal and missed it, whether it's a small goal or a big goal. Does that mean that you're a failure? No. Does that mean that you failed? In the moment, it might feel like it, but no, you didn't. Because all the work that you did, would you say that the work, okay, think about the month that you tried to promote to a rank that you're still not at yet. I'm thinking back to May when I was trying to promote to ambassador and I'm still not there yet. Think back to that for you. Did you fail that month or did you grow? Put it in the chat. Did you fail or did you grow? Jenna grew so fast she couldn't even do the W. Grow. Grow. Okay, guys, you're going to grow when you set these goals for yourself, and if you hit them or if you miss them, doesn't really matter. Remember, the rank is the byproduct of who you become in the process. Macy gave me this, I don't know, she talked about this podcast. I think it was with everybody, but the Patrice Washington podcast, The Redefining Your Wealth, it is just life-changing. That's another podcast that I listen to. And she talks about how when you focus on your purpose and when you focus on growing yourself and you start chasing those things that really are important, then your promotions, for lack of better words, she doesn't talk about that, she's not in networks, but your promotions are a byproduct of the work that you do on yourself. Which then in turn, when you're growing yourself, who else are you developing? Your team and your leaders. And so then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, look at all these people on my team who are leaders now. This is nuts. There's so many people on my team who are leading, and all I was doing was growing myself and pouring into them. But because you were growing yourself, you had so much left to pour out. And so because you were pouring out what you were learning, they were learning new stuff every day too, and they were growing and they were developing while you were. But you're the lid to your team. When you stop growing and developing yourself, you stop pouring out to your team. You stop having things to teach them. You stop having these new things that you can tell them to do or teach them how to do, or content that you can have for them. So when you stop developing yourself, it's the lid to your team. So make sure that you pour into yourself and realize that if you're growing and you're working super hard towards your goal, it's going to be a byproduct. It's just going to happen. And I don't mean without the work. I mean, there's definitely work involved. And she even talks about redefining your wealth, and wealth or work is one of the 5 pillars. You've got to put your work in. But the work's going to be a lot more fun. The work's not going to feel like a drag. It's not going to be a grind. It can be holy work that the Lord is blessing in abundance, where you do what you can do and then you stand. You do all you can do and then you stand. And whenever God sees what you're working on, he already knows what you're waiting on. So trust him to fill that gap between where you are and where you're trying to go. And when you do, you're going to hit your goal. But even if you don't, you didn't fail. What part? I don't know if you actually want me to say it again, Allie. Unmute yourself if you do, or type it. I don't know what you're doing. What part? Unmute yourself.
The grow, whatever quote you just said that gave me chills. Just say it again.
Okay. What did I say? What did I say? Grow yourself. I don't know what I said.
I'll watch the recording.
Okay. I know that I said something about like whenever God sees what you're working on, he already knows what you're waiting on. I know I said that part. Okay. And trust God to fill in that gap between where you are and where you're going, or where you want to be. That's also from the Patrice Washington podcast. I'm pretty sure that's where I got that from, subconsciously. Okay, the next thing, and this is kind of something that, okay, so this is, I hope this is okay if I talk about this, Peyton. This is something that Peyton and I talked about, was the what, why, and how, okay? Again, she's a green, which is such a huge gift, because we need greens. Y'all know I need the greens. If you're a blue, you need green in your life, because we cannot keep it together, okay? We need our greens. But every color comes with a downfall. Every color has its fair share of things that they struggle with. So one thing that I was talking with Peyton about is, she said, I was a top enroller and all these things, but I just don't see that reflected in the E-Suite. Like, I don't see all of them still here, which we can all relate to. If y'all saw the amount of people that I enrolled, and then the amount of people that are still working, like, it is a stark contrast, okay? But the thing that we talked about was that she was saying that she just felt like they would work, but they would kind of half-ass it. Anybody else feel like their team works but half-asses everything? You put a 1 in the chat. Get your anger out. Take it out on your keyboard. Put them 1s. Okay. So if you feel like your team is half-assing everything, maybe it's because the other half of the ass is the why, and you didn't teach them that. You only taught them the what. And that is only half of the ass, okay? So if you're not teaching them, and I hope my bottom analogy is helping all of you. So if you're only teaching them the what, and you're saying, this is what you do, you're going to do host to post, okay? And greens are really good at explaining things in a very methodical, strategic way. Okay, you're going to do host to post. This is exactly word for word, step by step, what you're going to do. It makes total sense. But you didn't tell them why. And that's the part they're missing. Craig Rochelle Leadership Podcast. He said, people will work hard for the why, but they will give their life for the what. I mean, I hate everything. I said it backwards. Okay, try it again. That was me rewinding. Okay, ready? People will work hard for the what. Stop making me laugh. People will work hard for the what, but they will give their life for the why. People will work hard for the what, but they'll give their life for the why. I like how Emma's laughing. She has no idea what she's laughing about. No, I did not do takeout market. I've had no alcohol in like 4 months, okay? No, I did not. I just had 2 keto coffees, and I'm pretty sure I'm delirious because of the things I was texting Shay earlier. I was like, I think I just need sleep. So if you're only telling them what to do, but you're not explaining why it's important for them, whether it's because you're connecting it to why this is going to help them get customers, why this is going to help them get distributors, why is getting customers and distributors going to help them as a person? And hone in on their color personality for this one. If they're super fun, talk about how this business is going to be so like you're going to be excited. You're going to feel energized when you're talking to more people and you're going to help all these people. It's going to be so hype. And then talk about whenever they're a yellow, talk about how many people they get to help. Whenever they're red, talk about how much money that they're going to make. Whenever they're green, still talk about the what, but you've got to include the why and connect it back to their why. So for example, when I was talking to a girl today, she was a brand new distributor. She left her father or her kid's father. She has 2 little girls, and she's on government assistance now. And she never thought she'd be on government assistance, but it's because she's down to a 1-income household. And so she was talking about that, and I said, I want you to start messaging your dirt list today. Why? Because your daughters, you want them to have a better life. You just said, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, but she said that she didn't want to be on government assistance. I said, if you don't want to be on government assistance with your girls and you want to be able to move out and have a stable, home for them, I want us to start with your dirt list, because I don't want you to have to get another job. Because you can't be away from your girls. You don't want to be away from your girls. So what better way to earn an extra income than to have this ability to work from your phone while you're with your girls? And they were screaming in the background. I was like, those girls back there, while you get to do this while you're playing with them, that you're here for them. And so you have to go work this business. And I told her she's been in for a little bit, like probably a month, and hasn't really done anything. And that's because of all the stuff that's happened, because she was with their father when she joined. So I said, you've got to put more effort in than what you've been putting in, though. And I talked to her because she's a yellow and a blue, and I said, I believe in you. And I do. I think she's going to be freaking incredible, but not with the way that she's putting in the effort. And I told her that. And this was on the phone, or I would have done a voice text otherwise. But I said, you've got to put in more than what you've been putting in, and you're capable of that. So are you ready to message your dirt list? Do you see why she's going to say yes now? Do you see how I connected that to the why her dirt list is important? And why it's urgent that we've got to get this done. And I explained, I said, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do post to post. If none of your friends and family are interested, that is totally fine. I just need to know for sure. But we got to get through this. So this is why you need to do it. This is what you're going to do. Tell me when you're done. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. Hand in hand, we're going to do this together. But you've got to tell them the why. Okay, so then there's another step too. So tell them the what, give them the why, and let them figure out how. That's how you empower them. That's the empowerment. Give them the what, tell them the why, let them figure out how. And that's hard for greens to do too, because they're like, no, I will show them how, exactly word for word. And if they deviate from it, I will scream. Like, they love for you to know exactly how to do it. And so that's fine, but that doesn't work in leadership. You've got to let them fail. You've got to let them mess up. You've got to let them post like a newbie. You've got to let them mess up so that they know how to do it the right way. Okay, so talk about the what, the why, and the how. And I think the rest of this is actually for my tips from the top enrollers. So, does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns besides me and my just craziness tonight? That might be a concern. Besides that, yeah, Jenna, I knew you were already on that one. Know you well enough to know that was your concern. Yeah, I'm a little delirious. It's fine. It's fine. Anybody have anything? Y'all can unmute yourself if you have anything to say or add or have questions. We have like 10 minutes. P.S. I don't know how we ever did 30-minute leader Zooms. Thank y'all for getting on at 9.
Hey,
I
I
have
thought
a
of
question.
this earlier.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay, go ahead, Kate.
So, my sister-in-law Ashley was here earlier, and we were talking about like her not being super motivated by money. Like money just is like she's very yellow green, and she's like, of course, it sort of motivates her, but like at the end of the day, like she's just not huge on it. And she was joking with me, and she was like, I need to make a goal thermometer. I was like, bro, you really do. She was like, I need to be able to see like all of the goals at one time, and like when I hit a goal, like literally how we'll do for volume, but just put goals. She was like, so I can always see like what's my next goal or whatever to keep me motivated, because I was like, you obviously can't have money as your motivation. So I was like, I think I might actually do that, because it would be like really cool to like see, like literally see all your goals being hit, just like a random thing.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I feel like Nadia does a lot of that. And Nadia is really green. I feel like she's like always like running reports and like seeing those things and like all of that stuff. I feel like that's a strength of hers. I'm
Literally
sure.
daily. Like I've literally been checking eSuite to see where our volume's at, and then like today I calculated how much volume we'd need over like every 4 days through the rest of the month, and where we'd be, and like what our projections are. I'm going a little insane.
And that's what motivates her. Like that gets her hype, and she's like, you know, from that flows I'm going to do host to post. I'm going to make sure I get my messages out. I got to get on these calls with these girls because I see how much volume that we've got to bring in. So at the end of the day, though, you've got to remember, I don't care what color you are, money doesn't motivate anybody. Money is green paper. Green paper doesn't motivate me either. It's what you do with the money. And so if I had to guess, you can find anybody who's motivated by something. And usually money will play a factor in that. I don't care if they're motivated by chilling by the beach. Well, who's paying your bills back at the house? You know what I mean? Like if you want to chill at the beach, go do that. But you got to have an income coming in. Well, this business can do that for you, so you can chill on the beach. Like I don't care what motivates you. There's gonna be something. Who else was talking? Like who else? Oh, Brooke, go ahead.
So I have a team Zoom with pretty much all new people this week, which is really exciting too. But they both just finished their training, and like their social media needs work. But I also feel like it'd be really beneficial, like to have a Zoom to like show them how I work the business, especially like in a sense quick. And so I was just curious, as like I've only got those two people, as what you would recommend doing.
What I've done in the past with like small groups like that is I have gone through each of their Facebooks individually while they're both on Zoom. And if you're on Zoom, you can share your screen. So you're going to go to their Facebooks and say, okay, I want you to look at your Facebook. I want you to tell me what you see. And they might not know what we were talking about. I'm going to be like, okay, so you shared some posts. We don't want to do that. It looks really spammy. Your host to posts are all blowing up on your timeline. Let's go make sure we have your Facebook settings fixed. Look at your profile picture, see how it's dark and grainy, then go show them someone else in the business that's a top leader and say, what do you see about their posts that are different? And show them what not to do by showing them what to do, and then have them fix theirs. And then I share my screen and I say, okay, let's work together and let's work on messaging. And I'm going to share, because you can share your phone screen if you plug it in. Do you know how to do that?
Well, I only have my phone since Granger spilled milk on my computer. Working on getting a new one, but I only got my phone.
Oh yeah. I would say send them. Okay, so then take screen share your phone before, and like screen record, and show yourself sending messages and how you do it and how you did text replacement and how you just send out messages and how you found people. And then tell them, okay, I'm sending this in a text, like a group text to both of you. Watch that video, then we're all going to message for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And then whenever we're done, the timer's going to go off. And if y'all have questions, we'll answer those before we go on to the next thing. That way, because otherwise I was going to say to screen mirror and show your screen while you're doing it, because I've had Zooms where I've gotten on and I've like screen mirrored, and then so they like look, I said, okay, we're gonna message, and if you need to take the first few minutes of this 10 minutes to watch me do it, then you can go do it, but I want you to at least message for the last half of this time. And so I'll tell you when the half of the time is up, and so then you need to start messaging too, and I'll leave my screen up there so you can watch me work.
Okay. Yeah, those are some great tips. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll add something about consistency real quick. I've noticed, I feel like this is like the most common thing people struggle with. And so I do come from a place of like understanding. And I used to be that person that was, I would tell like my family members or tell someone like, hey, I'm going to do this. And they'd be like, okay, like I'll actually see if you stay consistent with it. And so I realized to myself that I had always lied to myself. I'm like, why am I not proving to myself that I can be consistent? And so I've told my team this a million times, and I can say this again, and hopefully it will click with someone. But if something overwhelms you to the point where you find that you're not being consistent, well, chances are that you just need to start small. And that's what I did with the gym. I've never been consistent a day in my life with the gym or the products, which to benefit me so much. And so I started just working out 15 minutes a day. That's not really much, and that's not really going to do much for you, but I needed to prove to myself that 15 minutes was I could commit to that. And then as soon as I did that for 30 days, I added on another 15. And now I'm still like, I work out for like 35 minutes to 45 minutes, and I use the products consistently. So if you're like that in the business, just start small somewhere, because chances are that's going to help you and it's not going to overwhelm you. Like, you're a leader at this point, you should know to be consistent. But if you do find yourself not committing constantly, then start with something small. So the one thing that you don't find yourself being consistent with, I asked my girls this today, and I was like, what's one thing that you find yourself really struggling with? And some of them were like, interacting. I absolutely hate that. I'm like, great, start with that first and do that every single day, and prove to yourself that you can do that task first every single day for the next 30 days. And I promise you can add on more. And so like, that's something super simple, but hopefully it might connect with someone to let you know, like, you can do it. It's sometimes just really overwhelming. And so you kind of have to add bits and pieces on. So super simple, but that's what's worked for me.
That's good. That's really good. I love that. It's like a mental thing, because it's not, like you said, it's not like physically necessarily doing anything for you 15 minutes a day, but mentally it is. And mentally you're creating that habit Jordan was talking about. And there was another person I was talking to this week, and I said, how is your messaging going? And they were like, well, I'm interacting a lot. I'm adding a lot. I was like, how's your messaging going? And they were like, I don't really message consistently. I said, okay, I want you to start with that first, because it's going to get the heavy thing out of the way, the thing that you hate doing. If you can get that out of the way, it's going to set you up for success for the rest of it, so that you're not so like heavy and overwhelmed for the rest of the day. And if you put it off, it's going to be bedtime and you're just not ever going to do it. And that's going to be a cycle that continues.
Yeah, I did that with some like my team too. They were like, I just feel so overwhelmed with the KPI list. And they're like, I'm not like consistent with my whole, like the whole KPI list. And I said, okay, well, I want you to take like the top 4 things that are important to you. Well, I actually gave them like the top 4 things. And I was like, do these first, because all those other things, yeah, like you can, like posting about samples is important, but it's not something that you have to do. Like, you can be talking to people about samples like in a message if they say that they can't afford like the month supply or whatever. So to me, it's like having that whole list as a green, like I kind of made, like I condensed it for them a little bit to just like the income producing activities. And that seemed to help like with consistency too for a lot of girls.
Those are really good tips. Thank you all. All right. Hopefully this is helpful for you. I did record it. Little pat on the back of myself because I literally never remember to do that. So super proud. If y'all ever want to remind me, feel free to do that. Thank y'all for hopping on here. We're going to get on our distributor training, our team huddle. So go text your teams, remind them that we're getting started, and I'll see y'all there.